continuing the conversation of what should a 2025 and beyond art school look like. And so I've talked about this a lot. I'm not going to go deep into it today, but if you want me to recap anything, be sure to ask me in like comments on the YouTube. Say, hey, you mind just breaking it down from zero again? What your philosophy on what art schools should look like? I'd be happy to do that. But we're going to continue the conversation. And basically, I tend to run into this kind of problem of like where do you start? Where does art school in 2025, college level art school, college, university space art school, and it's different depending on the environment. Like if you're like higher education art school is different than high school art school, or is different than community art school classes or whatever. It's a difference. And so I believe it starts at a place of the students sort of should have some ability already. They're not starting at zero, but some students do start at zero depending on the environment. So it's an interesting space, but hopefully believing that some students have something already, the foundation of it, where you start isn't at like how to use the tool. I feel like, and I wrote this down, so I think it should start with expression. It should start with expressiveness. Like, start with like the idea of having something to say and expressing an idea. And as long as the students are dedicated to the idea, the principles, like how to use the tool, the techniques will fall into place. But I think if you're starting from a place of principles and techniques, I think that's the wrong approach, basically. I think that's the wrong approach. And of course, I think, of course you can argue this is probably one of the biggest, traditionalists think you should learn every tool and technique before you even think about what it is you want to say. But I don't think that's relevant anymore. I think anybody that thinks that way is behind, is not caught up to reality of what art is and what's possible. Because there was a time where, since performance art, since like the avant-garde whatever it was, even earlier, like some of the Fluxus, some of the what are they called, the Dada performance, is like, since it started a long time ago. It's really a long time ago, but maybe it coalesced like in the 60s and such, 1960s or 1950s. But there's many more ways to express artistically than painting, sculpture, than these traditional ideas that most people think of. And so art schools should encourage those thoughts, not inhibit those thoughts. And if you start with, can you draw a straight line? Can you shade a sphere? Can you do this? If you start too fundamentally on just techniques and principle ideas, then you're closing off. You're inhibiting the future expression of these artists. I would go as far as like, I would love to experiment with your first class. You want to be an artist? Your first class is about performance and social practice or something like that. You don't even pick up a pen or pencil or saw or chisel or clay or wheel before you've gone through running around your campus or whatever, making some performative, expressive social practice, social sculpture, so something that's like totally breaks what your philosophy about what being an artist is. Because it can only help. It can only help the more these students get to think about what's possible. But there's such a narrow vision of what art is. And then even within those things, it's like one of the things I think about a lot, like the idea of, so I'm teaching illustration, and there's so many artists that are putting black lines around everything. It's like, I would make an art school. This is an illustration school, and you're not allowed to use black ever. And what would that look like? It's like, I don't know. There's just such a narrow viewpoint of being creative artistically within what I've been seeing, and I think we need to blow it up. I think we need to blow it up.